might this be a meeting of the minds?
Wait, who's this?
Welcome to my little soiree! A feast of chaos! I see it as clearly as the nose on my face.
You do? But what is it?
Zavari! And once again, the truth so elegantly reveals itself to me. I see a lawyer and a spirit medium, both but beginners in their particular professions.
Say what? How could you know all that just by looking?
How, you ask? For a skeptical mind, how is as pertinent a question as why? I am a tried and true traveler of both time and space, as well as a man who drifts through dreams.
I might call him a lot of things, but not any of those.
I am Luke Atmey, a man unto whom some have bestowed the title Ace Detective.
Sounds familiar.
I've seen...
Really even a thing?
Seems there's a plethora of things you don't know, counselor. It's quite strange. Usually the tales of my investigative prowess precede me wherever I go. Very well. Please allow me the pleasure of enlightening you on the topic of myself. If this has not permeated the particular rock you're living under, there's a yin and yang of good and evil in this city. I am on the side of light while Mask the Mask dwells in darkness. And when his shadow enshrouds all under its pall, I shall turn a spotlight on that ghostly figure and expose him to the world!
You get the feeling his voice is his favorite sound?
I have been personally pursuing the pseudonymed Phantom since the inception of his immorality, and thwarted his latest loathsome larceny armed only with my intellect and insatiable inquisitive ingenuity. One could argue that we're two sides of the same coin buying our way into history. A rivalry for the ages. And last night at 1 a.m., we stood face to face in the bowels of this building, engaged in brilliant battle.
So it was 1 a.m.
But of course, you see, wherever Damask dares to tread, be assured Atmey has already set an elegant trap.
But the trap was not elegant enough.
Actually, I allowed him to escape filled with fantasy, an illusion of victory.
But still, you were on guard last night. Why?
The gentlewoman solicited my services as sentry. 20 days ago, in fact, which was 10 full days before Damask declared his dastardly designs to Dame Andrews. And her premonition proved to be prescient.
The calling card arrived soon after.
Indeed. And since I am an ace detective, I expertly arranged an elegant trap to ensnare the thief.
If you knew something was gonna happen, why not go to the police for help?
Like I need backup from that bumbling bunch of boobs.
What?
Well, previously, I personally pried a priceless possession from the prowling purloiner. The masked marauder's mischief-making is matched only by my meticulous mind. Meanwhile, you metropolitan meatheads missed the mark on Mask the Mask's malfeasance. So, counselor, am I correct in my characterization that you're committed to capturing this caped criminal? Positively perfect. Please, proceed with perusing the perimeter whilst I explore elsewhere. We shall catch up, counselor. Happiest of hunting.
That tool's a ton to take. Hello? Hello, is anybody here? Think smooth and hard.
Ahoy! Is anyone here? Counselor, this is quite concerning. I'm flabbergasted to find a friend of the law flagrantly ignoring it.
I'm sorry about that.
Right. I suppose your shortage of scruples will be of service as you stand on the side of that sinister scofflaw some call Damask.
Where did you hear that?
I'll be there at the trial, providing my perceptions to the prosecution. And Zavari, this testimony will take its toll on you. You miserable minion of Mask to Mask.
Minion, eh?
Although I alone am not your adversary, tomorrow's trial will introduce a terrible threat who will truly thwart your thriving trajectory.
What do you mean?
A defense's most fearsome foe is a properly prepared prosecutor. You may be used to Edgeworth's excellence, but your next enemy is without equal. He is correctly called the most cunning counselor in the country, but you may know him as Godot.
Or at the time. Don't tell me. The real Mask the Mask is Ace Detective Luke Atmey!
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I have arrived.
Now then, witness, state your name and occupation.
You've no doubt heard of Luke Atmey. Ace detective and stunning star skilled at stealing the spotlight.
Would you mind using some of that illumination to lighten the dark roast in my cup?
But of course, your wish is my command. This is simply unbelievable. You seek to indict me, the Duke of Deduction. It seems as though you've chosen to ignore the rules of civil society again.
First off, Mr. Atmey, remember what you said yesterday?
Indeed. And since I am an ace detective, I expertly arranged an elegant trap to ensnare the thief.
In other words, it was possible for you to easily steal the Kurine urn.
Sadly for you, Sir Lawyer, that vibrant picture of the villain behind you speaks louder than a wealth of worthless words. As you can see, it points to Mask Damask as the culprit, not me. By the way, that footage was captured by a lordly Taylor camera, yes? So it hasn't been tampered with.
Because there was no need for it to be. You could pretend to be on guard duty as a detective and also steal the urn as a phantom thief. Luke Atmey, you are Mask Damask! Admit it!
What say you to this charge, witness? He's laughing.
Yes, Mask Damask is truly a maniacal mastermind. And as such, I, Detective Luke Atmey, am the only genuine genius with the deftness and daring to don the dastardly disguise. Wouldn't you agree?
Are you a
Detective is really an ace thief? It's a fairy tale filled with sweetener, to be sure, but
Yes, indeed. You're rambling randomly in an attempt to revile me as a rapscallion, right? I can't imagine you have any evidence. Sounds like you can't back up your claim.
Wait, is that the...
Office.
Detective Atmey's office. Does that mean
No, that can't be.
you'll find it hard to weasel out of this one? The evidence points to guilty! Objection!
His office.
Oh dear. Don't make us laugh, Sir Lawyer. That's your big reveal? My. How thick-headed. It would be perfectly plausible if that urn was plastered in my fingerprints. After all, I was the slick sentinel assigned its safety.
Mr. Atmey, do you recall when you saw me yesterday? The Kurine urn was in your bag then, wasn't it?
That's quite impossible.
Side!
What? You did?
Touch the urn was yesterday. And that's...
That's because I already know the pompous prosecutor's prince polluted the piece. Take a good long look, ladies and gentlemen of the court. You may think it vain, but to find a proper rival, I was forced to create my own villainous virtuoso, a vengeful vigilante. Your acute accusations are all affirmed. It was me. I am the one and only Mask Damask. I hope you all enjoyed my perfectly poised performance.
Two simultaneous trials linked at the core. I have to find the truth and drag him to the stand. Before the verdict is handed down.
Perfect performance, Prosecutor Payne. Your professionalism is without parallel. It appears that we're absolutely accelerating towards appropriate adjudication.
It's Luke Atmey.
oh yeah?
Now then, this court is once again in session.
At 1 a.m. the night of September 12th, Kane Bullard was killed in his office at KB Security. What were you doing at that time?
You insist upon the same imbecilic inquiry, is that it? I had made a particular pledge. Yes, to purloin a priceless piece and was in the process of perpetration. Simply scrutinize the stamp on the surveillance to substantiate said statement, signaling the specific second. Nonsense!
Care to elaborate, Mr. Wright?
What I'm saying is this photograph was taken at 1 a.m. several days before the dual crimes were committed.
Stop that!
A motive for that?
Continuity. If you recall when the statue was delivered to the warehouse, it makes perfect sense. You see now? That's why I'm confident this photo was taken days prior to the incidents, when that golden statue wasn't in the frame. It must have been pretty jarring walking into the scene. Suddenly, there was a large set piece right in the shot where it hadn't been before. Which... Answer me!
So you allege Detective Atmey brewed this whole thing up?
I do.
Suare! I am both the virtuous and valorous investigator and the vainglorious villain, which will be verified by my verdict in the very next room. I am a vessel of veracity. And the truth of this twisted transgression is that Ron Delight is the taker of life. The fact that this foppish fool is a phantom thief fanatic is merely a fortuitous fluke. I mean, this man here is such a massive maven of mask to mask that he was moved to masquerade as the mythical Midnighter when meeting his blackmailer. As the highwayman himself, his homage is humbling.
No.
Finally clear on it now.
Poor Ron.
Gentlemen and gentlewomen, it's time for me to face my fate. Tutalo.
Objection!
Wait, come again?
Luke Atmey.
Absurd! I mean, this man here is such a massive maven of mask to mask that he was moved to masquerade as the mythical Midnighter when meeting his blackmailer. I was simply stating a fact.
How did you know about that particular detail?
I cannot comprehend your query.
Perspective and turn things around, that would also mean the Shadow saw Ron as well. That's how Atmey knew about the mask-to-mask costume. Because... Now look, Atmey. You have to see how you just fingered yourself.
Bravo! That pyre in your peepers and your cuspitated coiffure, counselor. You, sir, without a dollop of doubt, do deserve a downpour of distinction! Indeed, it was all initiated on the evening of Mask the Mask's inaugural infractions of illegality. As he scampered from the scene, he stumbled into a side street where nary a soul stood sentry. Nary a soul save the sobriquet ace detective surreptitiously surveying the spot. So it came to pass that Mask the Mask would be unmasked. At that moment, I masterminded a magnificent maneuver for myself in the matter of the moonlighting marauder. The catbird seat I'd acquired meant I was capable of controlling the criminal and coercing him into committing continued capers, simultaneously shining the spotlight on the struggle surrounding Damask and the ace detective. I made myself master of Mask to Mask and the masses. They were practically pirouetting in my palm. And at the conclusion, I could claim his capture, resulting in reports of my righteous reputation resounding round the realm. Ah! I'd be atop the apex of acclamation.
You were really doing all this for fame?
Alas, an unanticipated obstruction unfortunately occurred.
I can only guess that Kane Bullard got a whiff of the schemes you'd been percolating.
Hold that!
I summoned my servant to steal something sacred to the CEO of the self-same security syndicate, the Scarlet Stone. He figured out the fact that the fancy fixture was affixed to my finger. Before I knew it, I was being blackmailed by that behemoth blackguard Bullard. Unbelievable!
You mean to tell us Kane Bullard blackmailed you?
For his deliberate display of disrespect, I decided that he should die. After careful calculation, it came to me that I could co-opt my current client to carry out this caper.
Are you saying you used the Corrine exhibit as cover?
Yes, precisely! It could prove possible to permanently purge the person picking my pocket, and furthermore frame the fabled phantom for the felony. Thus, in the bowels of that boutique's basement, my magnificently masterful machinations were set into motion! I'd be lauded as a living legend of both law and larceny. The surprise would secure my celebrity! Yes! Imagine the shockwave shuttling throughout society. An ingenious plan generated by the most gargantuan of geniuses to have ever graced the globe!
That's enough.